Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music blessing and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18, 2020. It is April 2025. That is more than 5 years of Torah every single day, of finding each other every single day. What a gift it has been to be part of a community that has grown from all corners of the world, to learn together, to say good morning to each other, just to find each other and learn a little bit of Torah, to start the day knowing that we have each other. So let's see who's here. We'll be able to start the day together by saying good morning. Riva, Boker Tov, Debbie, Peter, good to see you. Peter, you're in Mallorca for the last time for the broadcast. Thanks for bringing us there with you. Barry and Arlene, Boker Tov, it's good to see you. Linda and Dale, hi. It's good to see all of you. Minna, Boker Tov. Debbie, sending love to Colorado. Let's take a second, see who else is here. Deborah, sending love to Ohio. Lydia, hi. It's good to see you. Hi, Amy. All right, let's take a breath. Hi, Tara. Good morning, friends. Hi, Deborah. Okay, before I get a citation for stopping where I'm not supposed to start here in Manhattan, it's a nice, quiet, dead end near the West Side Highway, for those who are curious. Let's take a breath, sing a bracha, learn some Torah. Ya la 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 la, didi ya la la la, didi ya la 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 la, ay ay la la la, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah la'asok b'divrei Torah hafoch ba v'hafoch ba la'asok b'divrei Torah. Today I lie, 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 lie. Today I lie, lie, lie. Today I lie, 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 lie. I lie, lie. So good morning, friends. It's good to see all of you. I want to share a little bit of Torah and also related to an experience that I was blessed to have as part of UJA yesterday. Some of you were there. Judy, who I think is here with us right now, was part of the holiest day on UJA's calendar. It's broadcast 1,274. It is day 544 since October 7th. First from the Parsha, and then sharing the experience. Parshat Vayikra begins with the word Vayikra, which means "and God called." That's how the whole book of Leviticus begins. And if you look into the Torah scroll, there's something very curious about the word. The letter Aleph is the last letter of the word Vayikra, and scribes must, in order for the Torah to be traditional, make the letter Aleph smaller than the other letters. And no one really knows why, though there has been a lot written about why the letter Aleph is so small. And I wanted to share a beautiful teaching that my wife and I were discussing earlier today. She was doing homework for rabbinical school and gave me a great insight on this week's Parsha. Let me start with something from the end of last week, which is the end of the book of Exodus. If you remember, the culmination, the very end of the book of Shemot, is the tabernacle being completed. And we know that it's complete. God's presence fills the entire place. And what happens then is that Moses can't find his way in. And imagine on an emotional level, Moses, who has done so much for the people, God's emissary bringing us out of Egypt, challenging Pharaoh, returning from Midian, just a life of trial and tribulation and frustration. And when finally the tabernacle that Moshe has helped guide the people to build is complete, God fills it so much there isn't room for Moshe. I've always wondered about that emotion. We won't understand it, but you can imagine at least the physical being closed out of the holy space that you've created. Well, that makes the letter Aleph at the beginning of this week's Parsha really interesting to note. And this is a teaching that I gained from Neshama. She was quoting Rashi. The power of that small Aleph should be thought about. When God calls, but it's a small Aleph, it's actually on a physical level, perhaps, God making space through this very precious call directed to Moshe, for Moshe to re-enter, to reconnect, to have space one more time, to do a divine kind of tzimtzum, contraction, to make space for Moshe to re-enter the holy. Here's what happened yesterday. UJA every year partners with Self-Help, one of the most beautiful organizations I've ever seen, that does work on behalf of Holocaust survivors and other vulnerable populations in New York City. We brought a few dozen Shoah survivors to the 7th floor of UJA for a Pesach Seder. Judy was there as a volunteer. Many people were there as volunteers. And we set an intention when it begins with the professionals and the volunteers, including my beloved colleague, Anat Barber, at UJA, who heads our community initiative for Holocaust survivors and reminds us of the precious and powerful obligation we have to bear testimony and to support those who survived. We had them in the room. I had my guitar. We were doing a Seder with energy and learning and singing. At a certain point, and Judy was part of this, a few survivors got up and started dancing. I was overwhelmed. I still am just thinking about it. I spent the rest of yesterday in a daze because history was pervading me. I wasn't quite when I was, because here we were bearing witness. Here we were dancing with those who survived such darkness. And they're getting older, and that mortality is just in our eyes, in our hearts. And I had a map of what I was going to do for Seder. And I was feeling very overwhelmed already. And then my colleague Anat passed me a note. She said, this young man, his name is Freddie, would like to lead Manish Tana. There was one child in the room. And what a lucky child that was. To be present as one of the last people, his generation, to be able to hear from survivors in direct testimony. And this child stood in the middle of this room and sang Manish Tana. And I said to him when he was done, because he did it with pride and with his beautiful face and sweet voice, I said, I hope you know how big this moment is for you. And I hope you know how big you stepping forward is for all of us. Do you know what this is? And he nodded, and sweet boy, he can't possibly know. And I say about myself because I've only lived as long as I've lived. I don't really know. But in that moment, we were telling the Pesach story, we were in the Pesach story. He was the answer. This little child, this sweet, sweet soul, stepping forward with Jewish pride and Hebrew literacy and a squeaky voice to sing Manish Tana. And I got to be the rabbi standing next to him, just bearing witness to the whole thing. And the survivors, I can only imagine. I don't know what it was like, but what it must have felt like. We are so privileged to hold all of this as we prepare, friends, to find our ways toward Pesach. In a parsha right now that begins with a small aleph, reminding us that there is space for us. There is a place for us, and we can make space for each other, because what we need, friends, what we need in order to take our place in history is to remember that to be witness to witnesses is to become witness ourselves. Our history makes space, and we must claim it, like our Rabbi Freddie, standing forward in a moment of deep vulnerability and immense celebration. The holy work that we do at UJA is a good representation of the holy work we are called to do as a Jewish community. to make sure that we fill these moments with joy. That by exposing ourselves to the story, the hard parts of the story, we do not end at the beginning. We move forward and we take our places and we sing with everything we've got. We dance. And these days, friends, 544 days since October 7th, that phrase takes on a new urgency. I said, without bringing it up directly, I said yesterday at that Seder, we always know that we will dance again. We always dance again. I stood in a room with survivors yesterday, dancing to songs from the Seder. And we know that we will dance again has taken on a new and very powerful meaning. I'll tell you that at the very end of the Seder is a moment that I will never forget. At the very end of the Seder, friends, yesterday, it was a very sweet, very powerful, very holy Seder. We closed with L'Shana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim. We called out our commitment to stand as powerful next generation leaders, as Penny is pointing out, my beloved friend, a leader in our community, Ricky Kaplan, taking the mantle as a child of survivors and making sure that we care for all of the survivors. We ended with L'Shana Haba'ah. The entire room stood and sang Hatikva. Facing an Israeli flag, survivors stood up, and we all stood with them to sing Hatikva. And at the very end, I turned around to the entire room, and with a trembling voice, I said, and I say with you, Am Yisrael Chai. We are in a moment that has reawakened in a difficult way our consciousness, that we step forward as representatives and leaders of our people to say with powerful, if trembling voices, Am Yisrael Chai. Freddie knew that yesterday. Ricky knows that. Anat knows that. I know that. Judy knows that. We all know that. So we must, friends, make sure that we do not miss the obligation to step forward and to say, yes, trembling this year, and yes, with courage and power and resolute energy, Am Yisrael Chai. On this 544th day since October 7th, we will fight for our people. We will tell our story. We will dance with our survivors. Am Yisrael Chai. So friends, with me, send your hearts to the east. The birds are already singing Hatikva. Let's sing with them. Kol hod balevav pnei ba nefesh Yehudi homnia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alpayim liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.